Hi, I'm Alex. On this third installment of Retirement in the National Guard, I'll specifically be talking about calculating your retirement pay. If you haven't watched my first two videos, do it. Please go back and do so, but if you have, check this out. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Doing it, mic check. Hey, shh, watch the other ones. All right, so before I start, there are a couple of things I want to cover. First is ETS, which stands for Expiration of Terms of Service. ETSing does not mean retirement unless you have received a 20-year letter from the military. If you ETS before receiving a 20-year letter, you have zero retirement benefits or status as a retired soldier. And number two is DIMS, which stands for Day Initially Enter Military Service. DIMS, for all intents and purposes, is the same thing as PEBD. And you'll be hearing a lot of that when talking about retirement. Now that we have that covered, let's get started. Calculating your retirement pay requires a multi-step process. If you remember on video 1, we discussed what it means to have one good year. And on video 2, we discussed 20 good years and how to accumulate points. Combined, this is what you need to use to calculate your total credible retirement points. Once you have determined those points, that's when you can start the calculation. Let's use, for example, a soldier who've accumulated 77 points for 20 years. And during that time, he also got a couple of deployments and accumulated additional retirement points. Assuming that after at least 20 years of service, you've accumulated this many points, you then need to divide it by 360 and then multiply it by 2.5%. The result of the calculation is what we call the percentage multiplier. And this will be used to determine how much pay you'll be receiving at retirement age. The next step is determining your years of service. When you retire from the military, you have two options. One is to fully discharge, and two is to enter into the inactive ready reserve. Now, the difference between these two options is that if you fully discharge from the National Guard after receiving your 20-year letter, your base pay and your years of service is calculated from the day of discharge, which means that you're no longer entitled for any pay raises and accumulation in seniority. If you do enter into the IRR after receiving your 20-year letter, unlike the full discharge, you'll still continue receiving the annual pay raise on your base pay, and you'll continue accumulating seniority in the National Guard until you start collecting. The downside into entering the IRR is that if the president has a full recall of all military service members, you are eligible to be recalled into the National Guard. What's the worst that could happen? This is where we start our assumptions. You fucking kidding me? Take that pipe and stick it in your... Now, if you're an ambitious soldier like myself, you anticipate achieving a pay grade of E9. Yeah, you. So at the age of 60, as long as this has been my base pay for the 36 months preceding the date that I started collecting, that's the number that I'll be using to calculate my retirement pay. Even though that you're in the National Guard, your retirement pay is calculated off of your active duty base pay. Taking all of the assumptions that we've made thus far, as far as retirement points, entering into the IRR, and also total years of service, this will be my final pay at retirement age. This is based off of today's money, which means that I'm still eligible for future pay raises and adjustments for inflation. Keep in mind that everything that we discussed today is a brief overview making many assumptions on what you will earn at retirement age. If you have any questions and you're too lazy to look it up, make sure to hit me up on the comments below and I'll Google that for you. Thank you as always for watching this video. Don't forget to check me out on parttimefirstsergeant.com and also check me out on Twitter with the hashtag DrillWeekend, so we can continue this conversation. Thank you. Hey, check out my links. By the way, don't forget to check out my channel right here. Motherfucker. Let's throw a party right outside my door. Let's have 10 fucking buses drive by the fucking window and then have a train drive in front of my door. Everybody, anybody else? Any airplanes, helicopters? All right, can we do this now?